Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me here, and we are going to do a fun episode for you guys tonight, doing a recap of our South Dakota trips. I know last week I dove into a little bit about our rodeo of a trip we had, but at the same time, Luke was heading out west for his first ever rifle hunt. So we're going to go ahead and recap that episode tonight. We're going to talk about the big giveaway that we have this week and just kind of what we have upcoming for the next couple weeks with the season being on the tail end here. So without further ado, Luke, how are we doing tonight?
Good. It's late for us old dads.
We're old men now.
Yeah. No, it's going good. We had a family Thanksgiving today, and
Love it.
Back into swinging things after getting home from South Dakota.
So it's the hot ticket item for the last episode. We dove into the wild rodeo of, and hopefully we didn't rub off too much bad mojo for your trip, but it was a wild rodeo for us. But we still came out with 2 deer, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate we didn't get to cross paths out there because let's take that back. We did see you. You snuck up on us at camp. It's terrifying.
Yeah. I rolled in at 2:30 because I left at night, and then drove through the night and rolled into, because you guys' camp was like 5 minutes off the road from where I crossed, and just rolled in and nobody was up yet, so I just attempted to catch a quick hour and then take a nap.
It was a pretty funny text chain because I remember you texting me that night saying like, "Hey, I'm we talked when you were leaving," and I don't think any of the boys shot anything that night. I think everybody was already tagged out, but you text me, and then I remember waking up extra early, and you text me again. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm here." And I'm sleeping in a tent. It's like 30 degrees outside. I'm like, "What the hell do you mean you're here?"
Yeah.
I look outside the tent, and Luke's sitting there in his truck. And it's like, you could have snuck up and killed all of us.
Yeah. Nobody. I was like, I drove through the campground twice because I was like, there's only one truck here and camp set up, so it's got to be them. But wanted to make sure I didn't just roll it.
Oh man,
some rando's camp.
I tell you what, that campground's awesome. Highly unfortunate. I don't think maybe we did talk about it, but highly unfortunate that the showers were out of season, or I should say they're out of order because of the season. Normally the week that we go, that first week of, or I should say the week before a gun, usually they're open, but no showers.
Yeah, that always is a nice treat after getting done with a hunt like that, is that first nice big hot shower.
Well, enough about our trip. I want to hear about your trip. We've talked very little about it, just because we've been waiting to kind of save it for this podcast. So tell us how your trip went, the trip out there, and we'll just kind of dive into the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah, I mean, it, like I said, I got out to you guys where you guys were bright and early, and then I had another hour and a half drive after that and got to the spot I wanted to check out and kind of scout a little bit on Friday. So I scouted that, ended up scouting that all day Friday.
Nice.
Saw and found lots of deer. I probably counted 30 plus deer that night, and then a couple bucks. I mean, I had one nice 3x3 walk by me at like 70 yards. So I was like, this is
feeling pretty good.
That old thought of, oh, this is going to be easy.
Well, you actually ended up, the unit that you drew was where we were originally going to go before the truck broke down. And I think we were going to get some scouting in for you, or that was the original goal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Friday I got, found a lot of deer, found a couple bucks like I would have made a play on all day. I just obviously was just scouting, so couldn't do anything. But got slept in the truck Friday night at the access, so that was interesting. Every slow truck that drives by at 1:30 in the morning, you're like, okay, what's going on here? But no, I got up, got going, and I knew it was going to be busy. I didn't know it was going to be that busy. But at 2 a.m., when another truck pulled up at 2 a.m. and like parked like 20 yards past me on the side of the road, I kind of just like turned my truck on because I was like, well, I can't sleep anyway. So started making coffee and breakfast. But
were you parked at the access or one of the accesses?
Yeah, basically it was just kind of on the side of the road, dirt road. But anyways, they ended up getting out of their truck and walking over to my truck, and it's like I'm laying half of my sleeping bag in the back of my truck at 2 a.m. Like, I really hope these are nice guys. But no, they were super cool. They were like, hey, nice. Wow, like you got here early. I'm like, yeah, I just slept here and kind of. They said where they had planned on going. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of going more north of you, so that's good, whatever. But in the back of my head, I've never, if I've gone to a spot like that and got there like way early, like never had an issue of like getting beat there by somebody. It's those times where you're like, oh, I'll show up like 30, 45 minutes, and you run into everyone and their brother. Well, it's to be expected when you roll up that early, but I got ready, got out of the truck, was walking by 4:30, which was like almost 2 hours before sun up. But I was like, I'm going to get way back in there and just sit. And by the time I got all my stuff, pack on my back, lock the truck, put my keys in my pack.
And were you at a spot that you already scouted that you were going to?
Yeah, that's the spot I was Friday.
Gotcha.
So I was like, thinking this is going to be easy. And then talked to probably 6 or 7 guys before 5 o'clock and got to a spot, sat down. I can really glass the bottoms up good, watch them and see if they come up into the cedars. Sat there for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour past shooting light. Not a thing was moving. Didn't really hear too much shooting. So I was like, well, maybe it's not going to be that busy.
Same weather conditions?
Slightly windier. So like Friday was pretty calm, warmer. Saturday morning was probably in the low 30s and getting windy. And then it got really windy as the day progressed, but got up, backed up. It was going to I'll just bump. There was like a ridge line here. I was in between on just a hill in between of them. So I was like, I'll just bump up to the next ridge line. So I came up to the top of the hill, just kind of peeked over. Didn't really see anything. Look back across the cedars, and I literally see this giant muley walking from the top of the the ridge line down into the cedars to bed. I'm like, oh, this is what I thought. This is what I thought it was going to be easy because it's an hour into shooting, and I'm about ready to take a pop shot at a nice muley. And so I got my pack off, kind of climbed up to the top of the little hill to get my pack off so I can rest the gun on. He didn't have a clue I was there. Got my range finder out, 292, adjusted the little dial to clear it up for like a 300-yard shot, and was just kind of getting everything situated, centered. And I was like, okay, about 2-3 seconds from actually shooting, and I all of a sudden hear, boom!
No way.
I watched that deer die in my scope. Biggest deer I saw the entire week. I was like, I look over to my right where those guys were. I didn't see them. They obviously didn't see me. It was just poop luck,
Any idea? Was it one of the crews that you saw from the truck?
No. These guys definitely. I hadn't talked to these guys. I looked, in my binos. Hadn't talked to them. So, yeah, it would have been a little different if it was like I was one of those guys where I told them exactly where I was going. But then as the day went on, that was the only deer I actually found, other than like something way, I go way off.
Were you hearing a lot of shots like leading up to that?
No, there was honest to God, it was windy, but like it wasn't crazy. It was like 45 minutes to an hour, like when I started,
wasn't like a Minnesota gun opener.
No, and that's why I think I texted you guys. Jeez, the just fell. It's like the sign. Anyways, but it's a sign of how bad that trip went. No, But no, it wasn't that bad. And all of a sudden, I ran into probably 30 people.
Wow.
It was. I mean, I couldn't get far enough in there. I got to a point where I was as far basically as I almost could get in. By whatever past midday.
Yep.
So like at this point, it's can't get away from people. Put it that way, kind of thing. So then I was like, I don't know what to, how the heck am I gonna, I'm like, do I just full send like as leave even earlier from the truck than I did? And next day I ended up to a different spot. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. Ended up not seeing too much. Just kind of moving and grooving, but still couldn't get away from people. Went to a giant BLM piece and actually ran into the DNR officer and
Okay.
then the landowner who owned all the land kind of adjacent around that BLM
Oh,
piece.
sure.
And the landowner, unfortunately, was having problems of guys shooting off of BLM into his land and shooting at deer because call me crazy, but a lot of guys obviously know this, but deer know where they're not going to get shot at or have less pressure.
It's amazing how
they'll sit right on that line.
Oh yeah, even like on archery hunting, like we see it all the time,
Yep.
and that's where it's kind of nice when you do get in those really big pieces when you are in the middle of public because you know that the deer chasing are in public, but when you flirt with those borderline properties, it is just astonishing to me that those deer
Always
just know,
private.
like, yep, this is where I'm safe, and they live right on that bubble.
So basically, that's what was going on. So I talked to those two guys, and they ended up both going back into the BLM because you can technically drive on BLM.
Oh, really?
Unlike walk-in. So then that's
I did not know that.
So I parked at the gate. They went in. I kind of got ready, had my lunch there, and then I was like,
hitched a ride with them.
Well, so landowner left, talked to him. He's like, just make sure you know where you are, check your map and stuff, whatever. I'm like, yep. Sorry that shit's happening to you. It just sucks. Then the DNR guy comes out and he's like, you can drive back there if you want. And I said, okay, yeah. Kind of already got all my stuff. I'm ready to walk. I'm like, I'll just walk it, whatever. It's not that far. And he's like, there's a lot of trucks back there. I'm like, what's a lot? And he goes, yeah, there's a lot. Just look over the hill. You can make your decision.
No.
Come up over the top of this hill. It's like a 50, 60 yard walk over the hill. And come down, look to the left, or look up top. There's a truck. Look down here. There's a wall tent and a pop-up, ice shack with 3 trucks. There's 2 trucks farther than that. There's 3 trucks over here. One of them pulled in an ice castle, and there's 2 trucks down there.
It. Is there roads?
Kind of. I mean, they're like right, like the little ridge systems have a couple. Like there's a parking lot out here, and just kind of a bottom, or the top of a ridge, or whatever, and then another parking area here.
That is wild.
So like if you did like e-bikes, that kind of thing, you could drive those wherever you wanted on BLM. Unlike you can't drive them at all on
walk-in access.
Those bikes, But yeah, so I literally kind of looked. I'm like, I don't even know where I could get by anybody.
Yeah,
where I'm not literally going to be walking behind
on
somebody.
top of them.
And I'm like, well, if I go literally straight through the middle, I don't see any trucks. I don't see anybody. I kind of started walking. I got to the over cliff or overlook, and I kind of looked for a minute in my binos, and I literally saw like 4 or 5 guys straight ahead of me. I'm like,
jeez.
So I just picked the randomest, most small other walk-in spot I could find that night. Hunkered down, saw a couple does. That was it.
Did you have any shots at the does?
No. I mean, maybe if I really wanted,
okay.
It was early yet to be thinking about that. But
sure.
Then next day, same story. Nope, way less pressure, but got way back in there. And I was
and now what day are we talking about? Is this
Monday?
Monday. Okay. So before, just to give people a little brief background, like how long were you originally planning on going on this trip?
Like 6 days.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so I'm going on day 1, 2, 3, day 4. And then kind of same story. Way less pressure, got went back to my original spot or original piece of walking that I started on. And I'm like, I'm just going to send it in the morning, get as far back as I can. And there's no way no one's getting by, going to get past me to start. I'll at least have a couple hours of myself. Get out there, saw a couple does right away. I'm like, all right, way better, feeling good. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to bump to the next ridgeline over. And I kind of had to go way down to come back up. So it sucked, but it was like, I'm just going to quick do it, get done. And then that ridgeline, I can literally walk for like half a mile and just go off the fingers and stuff. So I get like 150 yards from this little like saddle spot where there's a couple little cedars that I could sit under and glass this huge ridgeline up. And then I get, like I said, 150 yards from there and boom. Like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, where did this guy come from? There's no way. There's no truck at the access. And the way the property lined out, they wouldn't park way south or you couldn't park north. So way south, because you'd have to walk from the very bottom all the way to the top of this system where I was. Not saying you couldn't do it, but it'd be really stupid and it would take you exponentially longer. So this guy, long story short, he shot like 5 times total. So I'm guessing he probably missed.
Oh my gosh.
But I was just like, how is this serenity now?
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's no way this guy came in. And I'm like thinking, I'm looking on the Onyx and I'm like, oh, he just came. He had to have came down from the farmstead just to the north because it was not that far. And they had trails, obviously, for their cattle and to get back. And he did the same thing I would do if I had that access. So.
Oh, for sure.
It was just like I got literally as far back. I'm like 300-400 yards from the edge of the walk-in boundary. And I'm like, I'm just gonna work this in a big counterclockwise loop back to the truck the whole day. And I'm just like, how could I not escape? I mean, that ended up being the only. I did see 2 guys kind of that last late, but it was whatever. But yeah, so way less pressure, and then had 2 straight days of like 50 some mile an hour wind with 75 mile per hour gust. I got an alert on my phone Monday afternoon at like 1:30. This is funny. Got the alert at like 1:30 in the afternoon from, the weather app saying small structures could lose their roofs. Vehicles could be damaged. I'm like, what? What I have to pause. I'm like, what's coming my way? Do I need to like quick get out of Dodge?
Which is so unfortunate because I think we only had one day where we had probably, I will say, easily was like 50 mile an hour gusts, maybe even more. And that was the day that we saw that herd of like 30, 35 of them that were all herded up.
Yeah. And so I talked to you. Shout out to Aaron Wells. Talked to him. He's been out there for a long time too. So I was like, I got 2 days of basically no hunting ahead of me. I mean, because it's like if I was on deer, finding deer, I would have sent it easily. But I was like, Friday, I'm like, I know I'm not doing something wrong here because Friday I was finding deer every every ridge system.
So
I went like, oh, there's a deer, there's 2 deer,
For that unit, and I know we talked about
go to that unit. I won't say which because people got to figure it out on their own.
You'll be able to figure it out. But even like if we were to hunt the self stuff, but from a bow hunting perspective, I mean, probably
I'd get froggy out there with a bow because like I said, I was the Friday before gun opener, and there was, the typical South Dakota thing of 4 or 5 trucks driving up and down the road the whole night. Because I don't know how that works for bow hunting, but that's a whole other thing.
I do think it's amazing though that not only just for Minnesota, but you're the first one outside of Wolf, and I guess outside of obviously like Andrew and talk about Aaron and Matt and all these other people that we've had on the podcast that go out there, but a majority of them they just they're hunting on the Cheyenne on private. And it's a little bit different on the public perspective. So Wolf's probably the only contact outside of maybe like 2 or 3 other people that I've known that have done, a West River rifle hunt. Yeah. And it's amazing to me though, that the deer I think they just know. They're just like, it's gun season. We are just going to stay by this tree and we're not going to move.
Well, the tough part with that piece that main piece, well, the main two pieces that I was really on, and most of the pieces that had cedars, I mean, I sent you pictures. They were thick as,
Yeah,
thick can be. If you
thick.
have small pockets, that's one thing. And not trying to make excuses here, but it's like, when you got windy days like that, those deer are not going to leave
No.
those cedars. Because for one, I don't like hunting super windy days here, and the deer barely move. So it's,
Did you ever go to that walk-in to the way north?
no,
Like, no, because I
no.
think that one didn't have as many trees on it. But I mean, like, that's such a hard thing. Like, you just think of like, and we'll dive into this a little bit later when we talk about what's kind of current relevant to what we're doing now. But
Hmm.
it's the one thing that I don't think people understand too. Like when you're planning for a hunt, and this is where just like having previous knowledge or just, going out there and pre-scouting like you did,
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard to look on Onyx and just assume in your head what you think it's going to look like, and then you get there and
No,
it's
it's completely
entirely
different.
different.
Yep.
That's hard to put together.
Yeah, I mean, it was a grind. It was a gritty trip. I mean, I could still hunt until the first, so we'll see. I'm kind of been, I've got the okay from Jen to, if I wanted to send it this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I'm really watching the weather because they're talking ice storms out there now this week potentially. So
Sounds fun.
yeah, if that's the case, I think I'm just gonna have to lick
Here's
my
the deal. You
wound and eat.
sweet talk my wife, and you say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna steal Evan.
I don't think that one will fly.
I'm gonna come guide you, and
Yeah,
then I'm gonna go whack him with my bow."
yeah. I mean, actually, it's not. We'll see. It's gonna be it'd be cold too, like negatives,
Yeah.
but we'll see if I can maybe swing it and kids aren't completely crazy after Thanksgiving, maybe. But it's
Yeah.
a good learning experience.
Yeah, for sure,
Definitely
man. I
do.
mean, I'm glad you did it,
Oh yeah,
because
definitely do.
you had a bow tag before,
Yeah,
correct?
I returned it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So yeah, we'll see what happens next year, what the plan is. But definitely, like I said, learning experience.
Do
That's all
you
I can
get to
say.
keep your preference points for your
No.
bow tag?
Oh,
So,
preference points for the bow. Yeah, yeah.
oh, that's kind of nice then. If you draw it, then just defer it.
I'm assuming I have to go in and look, but yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
nice.
think they're still in there.
Yeah, I'm glad you did it. I know we had that long talk kind of going, we've been planning this for a year, you know,
Hmm.
and, going with it that since you did draw your rifle tag, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, if you've never done it, I've never done it. I'm hoping I draw next year, but I mean, I'm glad you did it because,
Yeah,
you
don't go
got,
where I went.
yeah, well, and I think we talked about that too in hindsight's 2020, but like that particular unit, it has super high draw statistics and it also has high success rates. But like you were saying too, I think that's just a lot due to there being a lot of hunters in that unit too,
Right. Yeah.
So if you can get yourself in a unit that has maybe lower draw statistics, but you might have a better opportunity to have a little more privacy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I would. Yeah. Like I said, kind of scratching my head on this one, but it's part of the whole
It's
learning
hunting, man.
experience. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what the old, if we do a trip next year, what it'll be, and kind of onto
I
that. But yeah.
we debated about this for like 2 hours in our 8-hour journey back home.
Mm,
But I really wish, and they do have it, but it's just for antlerless. But I really, and this would just tickle my fancy, and I think this would be the sweetest hunt, even if it was open sites. And I know Nebraska does it, but Nebraska changed their regs now, so your tags are way more expensive than they used to be,
yeah.
which is probably a good
Crazy.
thing for a couple of years just to rebuild that herd. But I think a muzzleloader hunt out there would be epic.
Mm, yeah.
Like a late season muzzleloader for like an any deer tag would be just sweet.
You're talking South Dakota.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be pretty cold.
It would be cold, but I think it'd be cool. And like
Yeah. It would be.
obviously like we've talked about before too, like a non-resident will never draw a East River gun tag. It
No.
just statistically,
Yeah,
I don't
but
think it's possible. But even
Unless you
from a
got
West River
on the land, but
perspective,
yeah,
oh, true. Oh, well, no, yeah.
get a landowner,
I don't even
maybe
know
be
if
the
you.
only way.
I think that'd be the only way you could. I don't even think you could draw one for private land.
No, I don't think so.
But well, I don't know. It's always hard, and we're both in the same boat. I think kind of this season too, where we've just kind of gotten our butts kicked,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know. It's been a big year of reflection for me that there's more important things in life to like
Mm.
prioritize and worry about, and like get all caught up in it, especially like these last couple weeks. Like I wounded a really big one out there.
Yep.
It just sucks because it's my third one that I've lost in 10 years now that could be sitting right by me on the wall. But
Yep.
that's hunting. But also like even like the perspective of like hunting in Minnesota, like it's been hard. Like I just have not had any luck on my side to make things happen. And it just makes you think of like, what am I doing wrong as a hunter not to be able to connect? Because like we've had great years, both you and I, where it's just like things happen and all the dominoes are in place and they fall in line. It's like this year, it's just like it's been the complete opposite of that, where it's just every possible scenario has been thrown at us, where it's like, what the hell is going on? Why can't we kill it? Just kill a deer, not
Mm.
even just shoot a big one, but like kill a deer. And yeah, I mean, I think my bubble is slowly fading for the season.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a way of humbling you. Put it that way. I
Yeah.
didn't just take a slice of humble pie. I took the whole piece, the whole pie. So
Well, like you said, though, you know what? You still got a chance. You still got time.
oh yeah.
I mean, there's a slight opportunity that you get out there and make it happen again, and who knows? Maybe you go kill the giant. But
Yeah.
even if not, though, I mean, like you said, which is a good thing, and having good optimism with it is, you learned, and yet it's
Mm-hmm.
the first time you've done it. I put you in a category of, it was like the same thing like when we first went out to South Dakota bow hunting for the first time. Like
Oh yeah.
I've never done a rifle hunt in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you've got more experience than I do in that. So now you know for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. So back to Minnesota and chasing some local whitetails, hopefully, and pheasants, and that's about it. Duck closed today, so
I know, and it sounded like a war zone this morning when I was out hunting. People just giving her the last minute. I'm just like, and I've been doing this hunt with my brother-in-law for the last a couple of days now out of Ripley, and I really wish I would have got on the front of the eight ball at this beforehand this season for scouting out there. But man, people this morning, I thought it was people in camp shooting at like the ranges and stuff, and it was just duck hunters just giving it
the last go.
Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone had a good and safe waterfowl season here in Minnesota, and geese is still open here for another month. But
when does that close? Is that
goose?
Yeah.
It's like the last.
Is it December?
December, yeah.
Okay, I figured. I know they're still flying through, but
yeah. They give them an extra month, I think, on that one. But yeah, pheasant goes to the first, deer goes to the end of the year, and
I'm really hoping we can get like one last hurrah pheasant hunt in. Like I want to kill a deer, but like I think I would almost would rather do like a day and a half pheasant hunt and just hit everything.
Yeah, I'm in. That sounds like fun. Yeah,
especially if we can get a little bit of snow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been colder down here lately, but
is there snow in southeastern Minnesota, or was there?
No, there we had snow for like a half a day.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it snowed one little afternoon and hung out for a bit, but that was it.
Yeah, it's the changing of the seasons because people are. It's always funny. Like this Thanksgiving time, and I think it was 3 or 4 years ago we had ice by about this time, but people are just starting to get a little froggy and itchy now, where it's like ice fishing's popping up in people's brains, where it's like it's go time.
Right around the corner, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Early ice is coming soon.
I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I think I'll die in a tree stand before I probably hit the ice if I haven't killed a deer yet. So
yeah, it's gonna be cold this week. It's gonna be down in the teens for the high. So see if with like we've talked about, having that end of season food source might be
Yeah.
key at the
Well,
farm.
I'm an optimistic perspective. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it home, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is what we've talked about for like the farm and stuff. We put in. I think next year we're going to have to. I think we got to reallocate some, not funds, but we need to reallocate some time, and I think we need to change it up a little bit. I think we need to add a little bit more cover. I'm almost halfway tempted to go frost seed a bunch of switchgrass in some spots. But the good news, and like we talked about how weird of a year it's been since it was a bumper crop of acorns.
Yeah.
But now we're finally getting to point, because like usually, like last couple of years, it seemed like usually by about October they were hitting greens really hard, and then usually by like middle part of November, just past like the lockdown and like kind of the peak of it's over, like you'd start seeing them transition back to the green. But we're even a little bit later on that this year. We're now in like the last, I would say, probably week now, deer finally start the like little bucks that we haven't seen. Still haven't seen the big ones yet, but like doe groups that we haven't seen in a while, like are coming back to like consistently hitting food plots in daylight on big food sources, where it's just like finally they're using them. Because like I look at all the cameras, like the food plots like green and like they haven't been eaten.
Just save it for late season.
So I'm saying, I think these next couple weeks, and I was telling Eric, I'm like, I'm making a bold prediction. If today's the 24th, I'm going to say by December 5th, we will have one of, I think, I know Hightower's alive still. I have no idea with Babe. I'm praying that he's alive, but I'm gonna call it by about December 5th. One of those two are going to start showing up consistently on one of the destination food plots.
That'd be sweet.
Just in time for muzzleloader.
There you go. Yeah, I was just looking at the seasons right now for our zone. Muzzleloader opens Saturday.
Well, is gun season still going on?
So yeah, there's second, part where it's the 23rd through the 1st.
So gun is still going on right now.
So it's the 9th through the 17th, closes for like that, 5 days.
Yep.
Opens back up yesterday, 23rd.
Interesting.
And then closes the 1st, but then muzzleloader's the 30th through the 15th.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. And then there's the late CWD hunt too.
Yeah, I can't find that. I saw it in the book.
And I think it's Christmas. I want to say it's like the 23rd, 24th.
That sounds right. It's one of those.
Yeah.
In there, but
I did name drop that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna probably do like a late hunt for Christmas, because we got Christmas down at my mom's this year, and she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Well,
20th to the 22nd." So
I was like, that. I mean, that probably like realistically my best chance of killing a deer is like those two days.
Yeah, let them eat at that point. Yeah. It's been a grind. I'm excited. I haven't really done much. I mean, I've done some pheasant hunting, but
this is the best time. I love hunting when it's nice, but like I think you're in the same book with me. Like just for where we're geographically at, once all the eggs out, gets a little bit colder temperatures, the birds hold tight a little bit harder. Like this is the best time, and you're not like dying of sweat, when it's actually like decently cold.
Sweatshirt, right?
Yeah,
exactly. No, it'll be fun here chasing some birds for the last month for the next month.
Is it December that it switches to the three bird limit?
Or 3-bird, yeah, yep, the first.
Nice. Have you ever hit a 3-man limit or three bird limit yourself?
Nope, only 2. So
only 2.
A lot of 2s.
Yeah.
A lot of times too, though. I mean, it's like I shoot 2 birds, I'm kind of good.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like one spot and shoot 2 birds, it's like, we're good.
The one thing I was pretty, the day that, how many did we shoot that day? We shoot 4 or 5?
You just me and you?
Yeah.
3.
Yep. Wow, I was way off my numbers. Probably a good thing, because that's 4 would be legal. But when I brought those birds home and cooked them up, Nora's normally like an incredibly picky eater. And like, I can't remember how I made them. I think I smoked one, I grilled another breast, and then like I threw the rest in like in a crock pot or something. And I struggle getting Nora to eat like chicken. She might take a bite or two. That kid probably polished off a breast and a half by
Nice.
herself. And I was like, all right. She's like, Dad, this is awesome. But
It's
it was
good.
pretty gut wrenching though. The other day, she's like, Dad, I really want some deer. I'm like, ooh, that one stings.
I
Like,
worked on that one. Yeah.
I had to say that. She's like, Dad, have you shot a deer? I'm like, nope. Thanks.
Nope.
Trying.
Thank you. Yep. Yep.
I think that's the most wild thing to me is like, the year my dad passed, I did not kill a deer, and I could not will a deer to death that year if I wanted to. And that was the year I think Eric killed like 3 does within like a 4-day time span, and then shot a buck that year as well.
Yep.
And was not jealous, maybe a little bit, but like I just couldn't get it done. And I hunted for probably like, I just remember because we were home obviously for like a month and a half with all that stuff, and I literally hunted for probably 2.5 weeks straight of hunting every day, hunting different different spots, like couldn't kill a deer.
Yeah.
I kind of getting the same vibes this year for myself where it's like, I don't know if I smell or like what's going on. I mean, obviously like we had good luck in South Dakota. I didn't really hunt until like the last day, I guess. That was probably like the first day I actually like started doing stalks and stuff after the boys killed their deer. But even like back home, gun season, hunted for 1 day, didn't see a deer. Bow hunted back home maybe like 7 or 8 times this fall. Probably had like maybe like 10 sits underneath my belt. Never had a mature doe walk by me once. Had lots of little bucks and little does, but I'm not a fawn killer. No shooters. Public land I've sat maybe like 5 or 6 times. Haven't seen a deer. And yeah, it's been just gritty. And even like now, like we started hunting Ripley here these last couple of days, and there's been some absolute mega giants that have come out of that place this year, and haven't seen a deer.
Damn.
So
tough.
I might pick up a new hobby. We might I might start knitting or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's been a year. No, you're right. It's been tough, but it's gotta keep grinding away. And
if you don't keep trying, you never know.
Yeah, you can't come from the couch, as they say. But no, I've just been kind of looking at stats tonight for total harvest. There has been
for Minnesota.
Yeah, 146,000 deer harvested so far this year.
Interesting. I would be curious to see what that number reflects for other years.
Yeah, at this point,
I feel like that's down.
I don't know.
I want to say we've been at like almost the 2 mark before, but I don't quote
a month.
Don't quote me on. Yeah, there's still a month left. Yeah,
last year it's been steadily dropping ever since COVID year, but it was like just somewhere 160.
Okay. I mean, think about that's 20,000 deer though. That's a lot of deer. But it's kind of bittersweet though too. And I'm like I said, I'm definitely not ready for like a change yet to get into ice fishing. I guess the thing that does get me excited for ice fishing is just the easeability to start taking Nora out fishing more because she loves it. Like the hunting thing has been kind of hard because the times that we've been back home, it just hasn't worked out to really get her in a blind.
Yeah, and they're still pretty young to be able to make it a long time.
It makes it hard though for me just because she always asks all the time. It's like, Dad, can we go hunting? I'm like,
yeah,
because I don't really want to. I don't feel comfortable taking her out in public, and we got the blind in the backyard and can't legally hunt where I'm at, but we can sit there and look at the deer in the backyard and stuff. But at least fishing, I know I can take her to do that, which is kind of fun. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's like I was saying though, it's bittersweet because we said it probably 700 times that it's going to go by way too fast, and I feel like it's gone way too fast.
Yeah, always does. Yep, it's part of it, but it's all good fun because then it'll be on to the next new thing and chasing the next thing. But here's a quick final stat I'll throw at you. So, of those 146,000 that have been killed this year, I gotta quick do some.
Are you doing like buck to doe ratio?
No. So There's been just north of 22,000 deer killed with either a crossbow or vertical bow. What percentage would you say have been killed with crossbow of that 22,000?
Out of the 22,000, I'm gonna go with like maybe 10%.
Nope, about half.
Is it really?
So about half of the.
Wow.
So it's 10,376 crossbow kills, 11,783 vertical bow kills. Yikes!
Wow, that is a very surprising statistic. I would not have guessed.
No, I pulled it up. I'm like, there's no way.
Because I think last year, I don't think that was even close to what it was last year. That's why I was thinking the number was going to be so low.
Last year is pretty similar, 13.5 for vertical and 10.3 for.
Okay, crossbow. It was a little bit less.
The numbers getting almost inversing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never know. Because what was 2022 the first year for that?
2022. Yeah. You know what though? What I'm gonna say? No, it's some bullshit though. Is the fact that those 20,000 people have killed a deer and I haven't.
Get out of the woods, boy. Yeah.
Bunch of just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, like
I would have said somewhere around like 20% would have been my guess of the total.
I think if you were to throw that into a 2-week season, or even like a month, so you give them like
December.
Yeah, I was gonna say even if you gave them like we'll just say 2.5 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
kind of like the muzzleloader season where it's just like an extended version of it.
Yeah,
I think that number gets cut in half or even more.
For sure.
Yeah,
way more.
And I don't know. Here's my thing with it though. I just look at it where I just go back in the debate. Like if you're physically able, you should probably shoot a vertical bow. Mm-hmm. But if you're just getting into bow hunting or hunting in general, really, I'm okay with it because it's like it's getting you in the sport. If you want to transition, like I've talked to so many people that are like, you know, just casually candid conversations like, yeah, it's my first year hunting, got a crossbow. It's like, but they dropped the line after that. And I don't know if this is like a defense mechanism because it's the same thing. Sure. Like people talk about it like when they're, you know, in states that you can legally bait. No one wants to admit that they shot it over bait, but it's like these people would be like, well, I know I'm going to work to a vertical bow in a year or two.
Yeah, right. That's what I say.
So I,
you know, it's like we all, shouldn't say we all, but like you and I both obviously started with a vertical bow, and at that very modest, you know, not expensive, super entry level bows when we both started, and still, you know, would rather sometimes do nothing more than just use the bow. So you know, it's, you know, I get the thought of, yeah, there's maybe some more people getting into the sport, but at the same time, it's like if you're gonna get into it, just get into it. Otherwise, you know, if it's your thing, it's your thing. If it's not, it's not. That's, you know, at the end of the day, it's like I can have my opinion on. I think vertical bows are better, and everyone should just use them. But you know, if you want to use a crossbow, that's your thing, and if it gets you happy and it makes you, you know, you're probably taking more potential ethical shots or having a better whatever if you want to go down that whole rabbit hole. But you know, at the end of the day, it's whatever, you know, floats your boat. So but the numbers are a little crazy to me.
That's interesting. I would not have guessed. I was way off on that. I would not have guessed that.
I would have been right with you. My guess would have been about 20%. But yeah. So, anyways, on that note, probably call her quits.
Yep, we're done bow hunting forever. No. We're gonna pick up. What is the original? I'm trying to think of what indigenous tribe or native tribe used the it's like that stick, and then they throw the arrow at the stick. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it's like a ladle.
It's like an L, something like that.
It's like ALTL.
I know Ranella did it on something. Yeah, I'm just gonna pick that up.
Yeah,
I'm at a point now, and like I listen to some other podcasts, the guys that are like hobbyist trad shooters, I would call it, of where
Sure.
like they flirt back and forth with like the stick bow and then their compounds. Like right now, I'm at a point like if I were to go whack like a 105 incher with my trad bow,
Be sweet.
it would make up for like everything. Jacked on Kool-Aid.
Well, that's,
But
a whole nother 6-hour podcast that you could talk about is, and I talked about this with Aaron too, and I was talking to him out in South Dakota. I was like, we talked about like, a lot of people.
was he out there the same time you were?
Nope. He actually went out Wednesday night. I think started hunting Thursday morning and
Oh,
shot one
gotcha.
in 45
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So we were talking about, like nowadays people get so into the inches, right?
Mhm.
It's like, I get the whole, and this is what we do too, is like, let them grow big
Yep.
deer, etc. That whole thing. But it's like, if you get a guy that, like you just said, if you went out on public and shot a small, relatively speaking, buck with your trad bow, you'd be ecstatic.
Tickled pink.
Best season you've had in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what hunting's about, I think. And it,
But see, here's the interesting debate with that though too. It's like,
Yep.
okay, so like I this goes to my brain. Maybe people, and there's people that think this way probably too. I just think of like where it's like, all right, so why, if I'm willing to go shoot, we're talking inches now, but like 105, 110-inch deer with my trad bow, but I've passed on 20 of them this year with my compound. Why wouldn't I shoot one with my compound?
Because it's the end of November and,
right? So like that's where it's like, I think, and this kind of goes back into your crossbow debate a little bit too, where it's like, I think that everybody has their own way of doing things, and you just kind of do it, whatever makes you happy. That's like the end of the day, like that's what it's all about. Like for me, like that would make me happy. Like I'm willing to, like, obviously I did in South Dakota. I'm willing to eat my tag, not to kill a little buck, because I've been there. I've done that. I'm going out there to shoot a trophy animal. I obviously want to come home with meat, and it just didn't work out where I didn't have an opportunity to do that this year. But like, I'm willing to eat a tag to do that.
Sure.
Same thing in Minnesota, where it's like, yeah, I'll eat a tag.
Especially like the farm, you want to grow deer and
But talking inches, Hightower maybe scores 100, maybe 120 inches. But that deer's
sweet looking deer.
Well, yeah, but that deer is also 7.5 years old.
Yeah.
So like I know he's a mature deer. He doesn't score with a shit for points, which is
who cares?
Interesting to me, because like at 4.5, I don't know. It's just that deer just blows my mind. At like 4.5, he was like,
he's been
I thought he was going to blow up to be like 150, 55-inch 8-pointer.
Hey, and then not everyone makes the NFL, man.
He just slowly regressed into this like just cagey, old, grumpy deer who is, and it's kind of funny. I found out with him, he just has an interesting personality. And honestly, I think this is why some of those big deer that, and Sturgis, everybody talks about it, but like why they live to be so old is because they don't like other deer. They don't like the fight. They don't like being called at, and they're just very shy and reclusive. But that's why they survive. And then every 3.5-year-old that wants to pick a fight with somebody dies. Shot. You know?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's the truth. But yeah, we'll give it next month here, chasing after him and Babe, and see if one of us three can connect on him.
I think late season is going to be really good. I think
you're right.
The couple blind setups we have behind the pond. And then this is something, I think this would be a good podcast to talk about it too, just since we're kind of at our wits' end with like trying to kill deer, and we can almost start transitioning into like, we'll do like an end of season podcast, like going over that stuff. But like, my brain's already been firing on all cylinders of like, okay, what are we going to do this spring? What are we going to do next summer? What can we do better? And I think as a habitat manager, you have to kind of think like that.
Yeah, you got to be a step ahead.
Yeah.
Or try to be.
But I don't think you were crazy. And this is a conversation we had off the podcast, but I think we can bring it up. But I don't think you're crazy when you brought this up, and I'm kind of on board with it. We need to talk with Eric about it, but of doing a hard reset on the farm, maybe not taking out every stand, but taking out like 60%. So we have 58 acres, and I want to say we have 17 stands. We don't hunt all the stands. Keep in mind, like there's probably 7 stands that we sit maybe once.
Yep.
Maybe once. But you're a saddle hunter. I love saddle hunting now. I've really have like fallen in love with it, where I get it now, and like I feel very comfortable with my setup, and need to get Eric into it. But that's the nice thing about having private land, is where you can just climb up in a tree and you don't have to worry about getting set up and all that stuff. But on doing like a hard reset on the farm with stands, and then also not running trail cameras, or maybe running dummy cameras, or like a couple, because I was talking with Andrew about this the other day too, after we had our conversation of in the last 4 years now, I will say I've had more. I know what to expect when we come home. And I think I just have such high expectations because of the food plots we put in, all the TSI work we've done, the deer that I know we have running around. I have such high expectations when I come home, and you just get demoralized when it doesn't happen. And I've had more fun just running and gunning on public ground. Looking at fresh sign, finding scrapes, finding rubs, like looking over this next corner to see what's over there, So I'm kind of on board for that, of doing that at the farm, of where it's just like, we'll just go out there and hunt.
It happens. Yeah. Yeah. I do, obviously, like you said, do a lot of still habitat work, plots, that whole thing. But yeah, see what
I'll be able to save a good chunk of change on the old cell cameras.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But I still think like they still have their purpose. Like, I'm trying to think of like applications of where can still put those in like deployment. But
in terms, put them in it's kind of going away from wanting to just do dummies, but you would just put them in spots you don't ever really want to go into when it comes season time, and then you just leave the dummy cameras on the perimeter.
Yeah.
But see what happens next year. Give her the beans for the next month here, and like I said, chase a lot of pheasants, which will be fun.
That's good.
But yeah, it's Thanksgiving this week. It's crazy.
It's wild. Normally, and like this is where, this I think we're going on the cities this year for this Thanksgiving. I really miss it though, and I'll have to talk with my cousin Kenny. We got to get him on the podcast here at some point in time too. He just got back from an elk and mule deer hunt. I think they shot a couple mule deer. I don't think they got any elk, but out in Colorado back in October. But we used to always do just an annual pheasant hunt down there, and they live south western, or I shouldn't say west. It's just Glenville, so I mean it's like right on the border of Iowa there. But phenomenal pheasant hunting, phenomenal bird hunting, and that was like my favorite Thanksgiving tradition. It'd be like just before we'd go eat, like it was nothing better, because you'd go walk like 4 miles, come back, you're hungry.
Yep.
You just crush food. Yep. You watch Dallas lose, hopefully, then take a nap.
That's what Thanksgiving's all about.
Yeah. Think of how horrible that matchup is. It's going to be Dallas and New York.
Nasty.
Terrible game. I ain't watching any of that.
I'll be playing with the kids. That'll be what I'll be doing.
Nice.
But yeah, man. It's chugging right along. So
yeah, and then we'll be in the late season, and then we're done. And then we wait for turkeys.
Yeah. And then history repeats itself. No. Yeah. It's a cycle, man. And just keep going.
It is, but kind of going that, we can kind of wrap things up here a little bit too. Yeah. But I just want to say thank you. And we have one episode left coming out here for Chasing the Rut this next week, and we'll be announcing our winner for the giveaway. And thank you to I think it's got to be in like the hundreds of people that have put in for it.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
So super cool to that. Thank you guys for everybody that has followed, tagged along the journey. Like I said, this is this is our first year doing the podcast. This is our first year doing Turkey Talk. This is our first year doing Chasing the Rut. Like, these are all pilots that we basically have done in what we want to get
3 podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's like pilots of like what we want to be able to do for next year.
Yep.
And
Figuring
we're both our personalities. We always want to try to continuously get better at what we're doing. So, you know, next year we'll hopefully have maybe a little bit more of a dialed platform to where we can have more in the moment people, better, I shouldn't say better guests because we've had awesome guests, but more consistent guests on what's actually happening geographically across the Midwest. But no, it's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that we're wrapping it up already, but excited to announce a winner and get you guys your free swag and your Piranha knife.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I think we'll drop that one Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yep. So be looking on the Outlook for that. We'll have a update for the final one and a giveaway for that. And then I'm trying to think of, is there anything else?
Nope. I think that's it for now.
Nice.
Hopefully next time one of us has shot a buck.
Well, hopefully. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to sit again. I really think that I probably have, if I play my cards right, I might have 3 sits in me left for the season.
Yeah.
So unless I can get, I'm gonna probably chalk it up to that. So we'll see. Unless I can get a night that I can just sneak out and maybe go whack like a town doe or something like that. But yeah, my chances are fading quickly. I'd rather put all my, like I said, I'd rather put all my eggs in the basket and just go do like a pheasant hunt with all you boys and go whack like 12 birds. I think that'd be epic.
No, you tell me when and where, I'll be there.
Love it. Cool. Well, guys, thanks you. Wow.
Thanks you.
It's late. Thank you guys for listening again to the Wild Faith podcast and for everybody. And there's still time to get into the contest. So go to our Instagram page. It's pinned to the top of the page. All you have to do is follow us, tag 2 people to get entered in that contest. We'll be doing lots more contests as time goes on, just like this one. But this has kind of been the big one that we've done here. And thank you for everybody. And thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.